So we have the opportunity to come back to the original question and resort to the questioner.
Thank you, Swamiji. I understand fully of the principle of Holy Mother behind every action, good, bad, or indifferent. But is it appropriate to speak up when another party clearly is acting against the best interests of mankind? Is it appropriate to say something in that moment?
So that's up to the individual, in a sense, because we have to evaluate where our reaction is coming from. Supposing it's coming from a wish to adjust something, then unfortunately, when you go through life, you'll be a professional adjuster and there'll be no end to it. The Mother of the Universe will give you unlimited things to adjust. And then at the end of your life, you may make a complaint. Oh, Mother, you gave me no peace. I was busy correcting everything. I became a professional corrector. Now, some of this, of course, is personality driven.
Number one,
You get the idea, all right? So that the formula for somebody who wishes to be a continuously correcting person will be to revalue things from the point of view of letting go. And say if it is not useful, if it's not going to have the impact that I desire or anything like that, or on the contrary, is it with a correcting attitude that I should be a corrector of every malfunction, then your job will never end. But we have to take on board some attitude which sees the glory of everything, and then that leads automatically to a spirit of generosity and service that spontaneously wants to serve others. In a spirit of service, a correction could be made. A teacher is somebody who makes these corrections. But are we all teachers? What Jesus said was, or in the Gospels we find, that we have to have a certain authority to teach. There was the Dublin City Interfaith Forum day that we were at. There was a Muslim lady who tried to insist that her duty was, as a Muslim, was dawah, that is, to convince other people of the rightness and correctness, the exclusive correctness of their own religion. But you see, what I said was, if you have seen God, if you have felt God, if God occupies and saturates your entire life, it will shine through your face and all your activities. And you won't want to go changing people, but the glory itself will show. You cannot hide your light under a bushel or a bed, said Jesus. You get the idea. So unless we are of the status of Ram Krishna, say, maybe corrective action may not be appropriate, particularly in the light of Jesus' own statement, see, that instead of taking the small splinter from my neighbor's eye, maybe I should take the big tree trunk out of my own, make my correction myself. All right. So again, the illustration comes up. When creating, preserving, and destroying, it is called Shakti. But still water is an illustration of Brahman. What a beautiful example that is. Beautiful illustration. Still water equates to Brahman. But when it is erupting, when it is moving, when it is in waves, we call it Shakti. You cannot conceive of the sun's rays without the sun, nor can you conceive of the sun without its rays. The one goes with the other one. So in answer to the question, is this world real or is this world unreal? Yeah, we cannot say it is illusion. We cannot say it's unreal. We can see that it is an aspect of this glorious Brahman, just as waves are an aspect of the ocean, just as rays are an aspect or emanation of the sun. And you cannot have the sun without the other, and vice versa. So these are consistent teachings of Sri Ramakrishna spoken from his own experience, is this article, but they are not the teachings, of course, of Shankara's Vedanta. And without question, Ramakrishna was well versed in the Vedantic teaching. He was very much in Advaiting. We know that toward the end of 1865, he took initiation from Totapuri, initiation into this Advaita Vedanta, and where he attained this Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the very highest realization of non-dual consciousness. But of course, only he had already done tantric practices. He'd already done or approached this divine aspect, divine reality from so many different points of view. And he was able to respond to each one and to incorporate this. It depends. It's to do with the relativity of perception. So during this time, just to mention, come back to Navratri, we have the opportunity to see this aspect of divinity that we call Divine Mother, Shakti, the Mother Goddess, and to meditate on different aspects of her throughout the 9 days. Starting with today, going on, tomorrow is Brahmarini and so on. But normally the 6th day onwards is significant. So all of this incorporates characteristics in this divine Shakti, which should be in all of us. That is, the capacity or exercising the capacity to conquer our own demons. And this collectively, this demonic aspect of us is called Mahishasura. That is the great demon which is there. And this Mahishasura is threatening all of us. So, of course, the same combative tools, the same instruments of the weaponry that we have, that the mother holds in images, these are available to all of us. But we have to see, what does each symbol, what does each weapon mean? Sword, for example, will always stand for discernment, discrimination, discriminating between what is worthwhile, what is not, what is permanent, what is impermanent. We might say real and unreal, we might use that language. But as we see from Sri Ramakrishna, when we take this whole universe just to be this manifestation of this divine mother, it doesn't contradict the idea of Maya, the appearance of a kind of paradox, that things aren't quite what they seem, that this seems to be apparitional. You see the trick. The trick is that we don't notice this time slipping by, or these events slipping by in units of time. We don't see that. We see it as one continuum. It's as if a film is running, and each unit is a picture, and when it's run as a continuum, we don't see that it is units. We see it as a flowing thing. When you look closely at a television screen, you see in high definition so many little dots, so many little points of light delivered that collectively form an overall picture. Our eyes only see the overall picture. We don't look for the small pixels. And yet they are there. So there's a kind of trick, as it were, that allows us to play this divine game with the Divine Mother. It's not a cruel joke on you and me. It's all only this Divine Mother, dressed up in this form, dressed up in all these different ways. The trick is we don't notice it. The counter trick is to cultivate an attitude whereby not only do we notice it, but it evokes in us a feeling of worship and adoration, of non-demanding love. So these are some words about Navratri. That's on the one side. On the other side, those who have been following these talks will know that we are also continuing to study the Bhagavad Gita. And I don't want to confuse the two subjects, so we draw a line under this one subject, and we continue our study of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5. So we were actually around about, we were dealing with the 12th stanza there of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And it deals with not only actions, but the rewards, the fruits. All our anxiety and difficulty and mental disturbance comes from looking into the future and finding out what the effects of our actions will be and what the rewards will be to us. This is poetically described as param, fruit. What are the fruits that come to us?
I mean, Swamiji, should we never actually plan for the future at all?
Okay. Should we not plan for the future?
Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Mm. It depends. Of course, planning is all good. It's not the planning. It's not the future orientation as such. It's the future orientation that has anxiety that goes with it. Will it come to me? And the anxiety is to do with only with sustaining me. It is essentially rajasic, that is some activity designed for me. When I say me, what am I talking about? I mean what I assume to be me. The egoistic me, comprising of a body and mind. We forget the fact that a portion of myself, says Sri Krishna in the 15th chapter, comes as the jiva, a portion of myself. This fact we forget. This forgetfulness is what we call ignorance. So it's abandoning the fruit of action is what it is. Yukta karma param tyaktva shantim abnoti naishikam. Ayukta kamakarena bale sakto nibadite. Yukta, the united one, the well-poised one, the person born of steadfastness, attains peace by abandoning the fruit of action. That's really the yogi. Impelled by desire. Why would I want to get some future result for myself? It's a desire, and all desire is orientated toward a small understanding of myself, comprising body, so-called mind, and its interrelationship between other people, places, and events, and a set-up reaction that occurs when that impinges on my small circle of understanding, my small area that I call I. The non-yogi is bound, attached to its fruit. Now, the exuberance of the spiritual mood of the yogi is natural. When you no longer have this anxiety for future results, for the fruit of your actions, a certain calmness, a certain peace is there, but also a certain inner joy is there, a kind of inner rapture is there. And so the next stanza goes, Sarvar karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vasi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvan nakaryan. Having mentally renounced all actions, the self-disciplined indweller rests happily in the city of 9 gates, neither acting nor causing to act. A very significant stanza. Is compatible with, is equally profound stanza found in the Kathopanishad. There we find his description of an 11-gated city, 7 contained in the head, and then of course organ of procreation, organ of evacuation, and Kathopanishad adds also the navel and Brahmarandra, the top of the head, where Jiva is supposed to depart. This mentions 9 gates. It eliminates the navel and the other one at the top of the head. But see, rests happily. See the language. Rests happily. Remember, you see his action in inaction, inaction in action, identifying with that Atman that doesn't move, doesn't act, simply beams. Simply stands and beams, as it were. Just like in the earlier example, Sri Ramakrishna, of the sun and its rays beaming. And the effect of that makes this activity. So when we say, I did this, I did that, we have to evaluate it a little bit, stand back, find out what is the truth, What is the moving, acting part? What is the agency? And what is the real entity that simply stands in a poised position, beaming, which we can access in meditation? And this whole chapter is leading up to the 6th chapter on Dhyana Yoga. This is the yoga of meditation. So resting in this city of 9 gates, and when we come across some very, very stressful situations in life, when we are faced with a difficulty, what can we do? We have the opportunity of understanding this passage and in the condition of a witness nor thinker that beams. And you find immediate calmness, immediate peace comes on us. If we're able to steadily practice this, then we have caught the meaning of this stanza. The body with its openings is aptly compared to a city of 9 gates. And in this city, we find all the operations of city. We find the M50 within us. We find the waste disposal aspect, which many of you have been familiar with today. We find all kinds of things. We find the pneumatic system operating the city. We can assume that there are all these different offices that we call Indriyas, or devas within us as administrators. We can find this as regulating the 5 pranas, the upward prana, the downward moving prana, the prana that operates from the neck upwards, the equalizing prana, and the pervading prana. All of these 5 pranas are within us, all operated by the mere presence of the Supreme Entity that we find in the stillness of our heart. So the yogi holds that all activities belong to Ishvara, not to himself. The Lord. Is the Lord then Ishvara, then the real doer of all the deeds? If it's not me, is it him? So it's an important question. So we have to understand that karma or action pertains to Prakriti, not Purusha. Now we have used other language today. Instead of saying Prakriti, we have said Shakti. Instead of saying Prakriti, we have said Maya. And these are all seen to be synonymous terms because it is all this Divine Mother comprised of these 3 evolutionary forces that we call gunas. And when we allow these gunas to operate, they bind us. Significantly today, the image of the daughter of the mountain is a simple image of holding a lotus flower in one hand and a trident in the other. The trident isn't doing anything, but the trident is a weapon, and we find there is a symbolic of these 3 gunas. The potentiality to move, the potentiality to use these 3 gunas, to express these 3 gunas is there. But the mother always has these. And don't forget, all weapons held by the deities symbolically in the imagery are all mere extensions of the deity itself, representing certain capacities, certain potentialities, certain functions. So the Lord does not create agency. The Lord or actions doesn't create it for the world, does not create union with the fruits of action. Nature does all this. So we might say, is this not separating this duality and non-duality? And in a sense, yes, but we have to understand things from multiple perspectives. So na katrivam na karmani lokasya srajati prabhu na karmapala samyogam svabhavastu pravartati. Lord does not create agency or create actions, kamatravam, agency, or karmani, actions for the world, lokasya, for this world, does not create union with the fruits of action. It is nature that does this. Actually, all work belongs to nature and not to Atman. So further explanation comes, nadate kasyachit bhapam nacheva sukritam vibhu ajnanena vratam jnanam tena muhyante jantuha. The omnipresent doesn't take note of the merit or demerit of any. And here's a very, very beautiful, important statement. Excuse me. Ajnanena avratam jnanam tena. Knowledge is veiled by ignorance. Mortals, that is the embodied, are thereby deluded. There are other examples of this, but there is nothing to attain in this system. There are many religions who think, and many people at a certain spiritual evolutionary level, I suppose, who think our reward will be a post-mortem condition called heaven. This is what we're aiming for. This world, in common parlance, this world sucks. So our next world is better. So we'll wait. We'll invest a little bit here, and we'll get a reward there. But that's not how you view it. Essentially, you're all full and free. The Atman is there. Nothing to be changed, nothing to be altered, nothing to be adjusted, nothing to add, nothing to take away. See, Purnamadam, Purnam, you see, that prayer is there. All is full. Everything is full and free already. Why don't we know it? This knowledge of it is veiled by ignorance. And mortals are deluded by this. Sri Ramakrishna has this to say. The burning lamp gives light to one and to all round it. Some use that light for cooking their food, others for reading sacred books, and yet others for forging false documents. The merits and demerits in these several acts do not in any way affect the light coming from the lamp. In this wise, the consciousness, equally present in all being, makes all sorts of activities possible in them because of its proximity. The good and bad deeds, however, of beings do not go to the pure consciousness, which is Ishvara. Somebody does something which we feel requires correction. The next question we ourselves have to ask, firstly, who are we to make the correction? If we still feel we are embodied, we have some way to go. And did we notice the Atman there in any of the religious language that we can use, the loving language of a devotee, such as the mother of the universe, such as the divine, the beloved, the friend, the companion, the divine presence, the infinite invisible, all of that did we see there? That's on the one hand. And did we see that a person is responsible for their own deeds to some extent? Unless we're in a professional correcting mode. Supposing we are a policeman, that is something different. Our duty is something different. We're not a professional corrector, that is our job. Supposing we are a military man, our job is to wage the war appropriately. That's our job. But if our job is something else, then maybe that's what we should do. We should stick to our job, stick to our duty. And the whole of the Bhagavad Gita is to do with that duty. You may say, is it not our duty as a good citizen to make a correction? But then we have to evaluate what is the motive for our correcting attitude. Do we see something as defective and have an urge to continuously fill it in, make it better, make it whole and full and free? Is it not already whole and full and free? Am I really vamping up my own level of tension? Am I creating a heart attack by having a critical attitude everywhere? These are the questions each and everyone has to ask on an individual basis and make their evaluation. So it is in fact that the Lord doesn't take note of the good and bad acts of people. Then why should we? Why then should they be exhorted to do good? And why should they be exhorted to eschew evil? And so this is a very important question. So it comes out in this stanza. Jnanena tu tad ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanaha tesham adityava jnanam prakrashati tatparam. Shining like the sun, knowledge reveals the supreme in them, in whom ignorance is destroyed by self-knowledge. Darkness vanishes when the sun comes up, isn't it? Ignorance, in this case, ceases to be when the dawn of knowledge comes. This Brahmajnanam posits the reality of Brahman. And the evanescence of Prakriti is exactly that. it's shown in its correct light. The process of getting at self-knowledge, we have to explain. Knowledge veiled by ignorance, but how do we remove this ignorance? Tad bhutayas tadatmanas tanishtas tat parayana kashyantya puna vardam jnana jnanyen dutakalmasaha. That is, those who think on that, merge in that, get fixed in that, have that as the goal, they attain to non-return, their taints being dispelled by knowledge. You can't take a casual attitude toward it. You take up spiritual light in spirit, all your energy, not just part-time. That's what happens, isn't it? On a Sunday, you go to a church. If it's 20 minutes, you abandon that, go to the next church. Something quick. So Monday to Saturday is all normal, so-called normal living, carefree living, not worried about anything. But Sunday is Salvation Day.
Salvation hour.
Salvation hour. Yeah, you give a report to the Lord. How did it work? Well, let's see. 1/7 of the time, you're okay. Even that 1/7 of the time was lacking. Because of that, about 20 minutes. It could have been an hour, but you selected 20 minutes. 20 minutes was all right, but then you see, while you were in the building, your mind was elsewhere. Where was it? It was on all the activities of the preceding 6 days. It's the 6 days. If anything, it should be reversed. But then you see, when you take it up, you'll find there's no holiday for it. Because every second is an opportunity to put something useful in. Every second is an opportunity to think in a non-demanding way of God, or to contemplate and absorb the truth, to constantly spend your energy and efforts in discernment and in taking the full glory of this Lord in with full appreciation, not just at selected times. It may begin like that, but then as the opportunities increase, as the occasions increase, as your observance increases, as your practice increases, as your determination increases, as your dedication increases, as your intention remains solid, you'll find what yields is this great glory. So those who think on that, dwell on it. There are many ways to dwell on it. Scripture gives us an opportunity. Why do we pursue the lives of saints? Why do we pursue the company of saints? Why do we say prayers? Why do we keep a prayerful attitude? Why do we make every effort to live in the constant living presence, the presence of the divine, consciously doing that, tuning the mind into the divine continuously, fixing the mind as much as we possibly can on the hidden divinity, which is in, through, as and beyond. So those who think on that, merge in that, become one with that, where nearness even becomes oneness. Get fixed in that, no other way out. Have that as the goal. No distractions. When distractions cease, they attain to non-return. Their taints being dispelled by knowledge. Now often an objection comes up. If we always think like this, how can we be practical in our life? How can we work in a normal, so-called normal way? And it's only that you didn't value the so-called normal activities that you're doing as spiritual activities. You put them into a category of secular and said there are two things going on. There's Sunday performance and weekday performance. But that's not so. Your whole life, if you have a constant purpose in life, an enduring purpose in life, if your goal is, as Swami Vivekananda said, to manifest that divinity from within, being potentially divine, then if you take your goal seriously, you won't have any casual attitude toward it. Patanjali Yoga Sutras talks about this energy. Says that success is speedy for the energetic. Now, Sri Ramakrishna has this to say: Brahman is experienced vaguely through discrimination, somewhat vividly through meditation, and in its original splendor in samadhi. Very beautiful, simple description. So I repeat it. Brahman is experienced vaguely through discrimination. That is, your normal so-called working, waking life. You're constantly practicing this discernment, and you get a vague understanding of it. But then meditation is necessary, somewhat vividly through meditation. Meditation gives the opportunity for a stillness and a listening mode where you can feel that God is here, God is now, God is love. And so, but still, there's a distance, like looking through a dark glass, a glass darkly, see, is how it's described. Like being in a room where you peep in and the light is shining in the one room, but you're not in the room yet. So something is obscuring the vision still, but you get some idea of it, a vivid notion of it. But then in samadhi, the full blaze, the full brilliance of actual direct experience, the original splendor, this is found in this meditation habit that becomes samadhi. Then the next question comes, how are we to know of the state of freedom while yet living in this body? Is it possible? Do we have to wait for this body to move off? Do we have to live out our prarabdha karma in this mundane world? And so same-sightedness will ensue from knowledge is the general answer to this question. We deal with one more stanza, and then that's enough for this evening. Vijja vina yasam pani brahmani gavi hastini shuni chaiva swapake cha panditaha samadhashinaha. Upon one endowed with learning and humility, men of self-knowledge are same-sighted. The beautiful passage on a brahmana imbued with learning and humility, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and an outcast. You see, sunlight falls equally on all things. If we blow ourselves up as a world, as the earth, then the sun, we can't blame the sun. We can't point your finger and say, why did you do this? The sun beams whether the earth exists or whether it doesn't. It beams throughout the entire solar system. What we do on the earth has no connection. The sun gives us the opportunity. It's a life giver. It's a brilliant giver. It's a means for us to understand life and beauty and goodness and truth and harmony. We owe everything to the sun. So in that same way, this Atman is beaming equally everywhere. And men of self-knowledge are tuned into that. And so automatically they have same-sightedness. They look equally everywhere on the same divinity that's manifested and dressed up in different forms. So these various examples are used. The very society, the most noble, the most selfless people, the Brahmana, highest in the social structure. That's one thing. Now we look with the same sightedness as that, who's imbued with learning and also with humility, because learning without humility is null and void, is damaging. Same thing, and a cow is associated with a Brahmin. A Brahmin is a sacred human, and a cow is a sacred human. So there's one category. We look all of those things that are sacred. A cow is a representative, really, or symbol of God's grace to flowing. It gives us the gift free of charge of mother's milk. and all of the products that are derived from it. So highly valued. But we don't see any difference between that and an elephant, a cow, and an elephant. These are not considered necessarily equally. An elephant is put to work, no doubt reverenced for that, respected for that. But if you take the animal characteristic away from it, it's a mere tractor. A dog, see, these animals are compared. A dog is seen to be very, very low, very dirty. We're not talking of your domestic dog. We're not talking of the dog show. We're not talking of Crufts. We're talking of a scoundrel, as a what do you call it? It'll eat anything. It's fairly scrawny because of its diet and so on. And it avoids everything, because people regard it as a nuisance and something that is very dirty. And if it bites you, you probably need a tetanus shot. So, all equal and an outcast, somebody of the lowest. We already described somebody of the highest, somebody of the lowest. If you follow all of this, where is the difficulty of the caste system? Where is this inequality in society? Where is this inequality that one looks upon because of people of different races, or different religions, or different beliefs, or different social status? There's no scope for that. This is the importance of scripture, of Shastra. It gives us the solution to all of these difficulties and problems, and removes all this fanatical aspect that is associated with religion and associated with social difficulties, not religion. One of the biggest criticisms that Hindu has is, oh, Hindus, but you love everybody, you see God in everything, you love nature, and so on and so forth. You're a pacifist, generally speaking, and so on. But one difficulty, what about this caste system that you have? See? Well, those people who ask the question and those people who have difficulty in answering it never read this passage. Our goal is self-knowledge. And when we have that self-knowledge, we have same-sightedness along with it. The man of self-knowledge doesn't see into the assumed differences in all these creatures, men, animals, birds, other creatures. He recognizes the same indwelling omnipresence and omniscience reflected through these, appearing through them, appearing in them. And final realization, there is no other. And this is Sri Ramakrishna's revelation, that his mother showed him that all of this is just the divine manifestation of the Divine Mother in all her glory, dressed up in different forms, in different dresses, but one pure consciousness expressed in these different ways. Sri Ramakrishna puts it this way: nescience creates plurality and difference among beings. Omniscience reveals unity behind the seeming multiplicity. See how the word is seeming multiplicity. This world is nothing more than seemingly fragmented God. When we have the eyes to see, we will see its unity. And that will give us an internal kind of rapture within us. We leave it there. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.